Welcome to the Bootstrap Banter, the show where we strip away the noise and talk about the truth behind building something very, very real from scratch with scrappiness, with heart, and without waiting for anyone's permission. Today's episode is the one where people feel deeply but rarely say it out loud. Why most hustlers don't become companies. Not the sugar coated version, but at least the real, live version where every founder eventually faces. Let's dive deeper in this particular bootstrap banter. If you are a hustler building your startup or building your ideas or building throughout your passion, something on the weekend while juggling with many other tasks, especially when somebody has not asked you to do that, you have tuned to the right episode. And if you're someone who feels that this 2025 you haven't generated the revenue that you should have, or rather you were hoping for, why it really didn't work out that way. This is the fact that we are uncovering in today's Bootstrap Banter episode. I hope this is the episode where you will walk in with wonderful tips to implement. Every dream begins as a spark, a quiet fire in the corner of your mind. You nurture it at midnight. You hold it close at dawn. You call it a hustle. But secretly, you hope it becomes something bigger. Something with your name, a heartbeat, a future. But somewhere between the spark and the sunrise, most dreams fade. Not because they weren't worthy, but because the world asked for more than a passion. It asked for a proof, it asked for a system, it asked for a courage. And that's where the most hustlers die. Not in their heart, but in the hands that were afraid to build them. By the way, I must tell you, I'm your host, Pranali of Bootstrap Banter, where I implement the same tips, the same systems that I narrate on this podcast for my own passion business. And that's how I'm thriving. As and when I unfold those tricks, as and when I unfold or experiment certain systems, those are the same that I share with you all on this Bootstrap Banter episode. I hope this another episode is going to resonate with you well, where, you understand that why most side hustlers don't grow and what exactly needs to bring to the fix so that you start generating your revenue, so that you start building a systematic company that you were always dreamed of. If you are a side hustler building after work hours, creating content at midnight, learning everything from YouTube and other source medias, and still not making any revenue, this episode is your wake up call. Today on Bootstrap Banter, we are breaking down why your hustle isn't growing like a real company and the exact fixes that can shift you from hobby mode to a revenue mode. So, my dear friends, before we get on to the episode, I must thank you, all the listeners, especially the ones who are returning with your queries, who are writing me back the emails with the feedback, or even helping me understand what you really want to understand from the future episodes of Bootstrap Banter. So, thank you to all of them who have wrote me back. And I must thank one particular audience who has allowed me to take down her name. Her name is Madhuri. She's from Silicon Valley's Bay Area, California. And she told me to narrate an episode that how exactly from the passion we generate the revenue. Why I have not succeeded, although I am doing a lot of work. And that particular listener's feedback actually drove me to, curate this particular episode for all of you. These are generally the concepts that I cover in my master classes that we hold for passionpreneurs, but this is being loud and clear, and look like that many passionpreneurs, many side hustlers need to understand this through the podcast that they are actually hoping to give them the right ways. Although I can tell you all the systems on this particular podcast, I must tell you there are always masterclass that we run. And where to look at those masterclasses? Of course, go to passionatepulse.com. That's where you find the workshops, the masterclasses that we run. You can absolutely, join them. If you are our Substack paid members, we also have a Substack at Passionate Pulse for You is our handle. And that is the Substack medium where we have our community and our members absolutely walk in all these master classes for free. And of course, the strategy classes that we package around. So those are also always discounted for them. Having said that, let's deep dive, and thank you, Madhuri, for inspiring me to build this episode and exactly breaking down your queries in our earlier masterclass. So here we are. Let's deep dive on the harsh truth that why the side hustle isn't perceived as a business and where exactly the side hustlers fail. Okay. So there are three common reasons that I've spotted along with my clients, whenever I've worked with them. There are few who are actually looking forward to build a very systematic and a methodological companies. However, there are the three most common reasons that I've spotted that either people are doing too many things and not consistently enough. Now, the consistency has got a various parameters to brief through. The consistency could be a quality, consistency could be a timely approach manner that needs to be attempted, or showing up at certain times when it is needed the most and identifying those gaps. It need not be like every day consistently you have to show up with the content, but it could also means that once in a week or once in a month, whenever you're showing up with the content, you have that clear content that talks about what you exactly do. Okay. Then the other reason that I've spotted is behaving like a freelancer and not like a founder. That's the most important persona that any side hustler have to own. And I always say this in all my masterclasses on the workshops that we hold that fake it till you make it. There is nothing wrong in that. Although you could be a freelancer, you could be someone who is juggling on the weekends in order to build something. However, as long as you hold on to the founder persona, behaving that through your mental strength, that's when that freelancer breakthrough will occur. You could be working on the weekends saying out loud that, my work hours are only limited to this, or I would capacity my work in this particular hours. So I am only selective about my time to perform. And then from there, you start approaching. That's day one step that I have advised all the passionpreneurs who have come on to our masterclasses, the side hustlers who are, building something awesome, however, are failing to perceive or build the company that they had always dreamed of. And the third and important common reason that I figured out is their offers are very unclear and non existent at many a times. They just don't know what they are supposed to say out loud, or they're afraid, or there is a confidence issue. So there are like, various factors that goes behind when we say that the offer is unclear. And this is something, although I could say in a number of words or thousand words probably to explain you why a particular client of mine have went through this kind of dilemma and how we actually fixed it, but that is not going to solve your individual pertaining problem. But more or less, here I would like you to walk you on the lines where you understand whether your offers are, first of all, exist. Are the people or the content gluing audience or the listeners or blog readers, whoever is your, the so called customers at the moment to latch on to your content or, latch on to your activities, are they getting the clear, defined message that what you exactly do? Where do you stand for? Are you a media company or you are building a podcast to sell certain product? Are you having a startup within you that you're building and your product is well defined, or you are defining your product based on the customers? So there are so many things that can define whether you fit in the service area or you fit in the product area. So that is where this offer clarification comes into the play. And my dear friends, if you are someone who are unsure about what to present, how to present, and where exactly the gaps are, we work with the businesses, with the startups to figure out that business gap, to figure out that proposition that needs to go into the visibility channel, and we fix your marketing flywheel by unfolding all of it. So if you are someone, a startup founder, a small business owner, or a passionpreneur, struggling to position your offer, struggling to, build a certain material that needs to talk about your offer, I am here. Just log on to passionatepulse.com and book a call through a contact me form, or simply write back on info@passionatepulse.com and state that you are looking forward for either the marketing needs, or defining your position where you need certain master classes, where you need certain one-on-one strategy classes from us that will help you unfold your offer, that will help you give certain strategy that can move you from freelancer to a founder bucket. We are here. Before I move on to a further real time examples that I can talk about, I must tell you that before the holiday period, in fact on 11th of December, Thursday, 11 a.m. PST time zone, I am hosting a masterclass that is for solopreneurs, passionpreneurs, or the startup founders who are yet struggling to position themselves, yet struggling to design certain systems that they must have. There is a masterclass going on, Boundaries by Design. Again, it is free for our Substack members, but it is charged for the people who want to, just take a feel of that workshop and masterclass and see how that goes. There is a masterclass, and how do you register for it? Go to passionatepulse.com/workshops, and you will find that first masterclass is there on 11th of December. Okay, let's move further with the same concept where, the harsh truth that I unfolded, why most side hustlers are not a business. So, there are a lot of freelancers I have seen who are actually struggling, and some of them actually have worked with through my master classes or one-on-one coaching clients, where one of my client was posting tons of design samples, and there was no consistency. Occasionally she would post it for the some things that she has done, or some side hustle or the gig that she got from some company that they were working with for the UI UX designing. I mean, of course, people love her work, what she did, but no one really knew that, where she's exactly focused for. Why I should have that kind of UI UX designer, whether that is a designer where I can, have it for my industrial field, or that is a UI UX designer that is solely focused in the technology where there are, the software products are building, or that is a designer which I can also have to curate some products that I have and they need to be designed. In fact, the content itself was giving many signals, and there were not no consistency. Sometimes she would design some artisan products, sometimes she would design some UI UX for the software, sometimes she would design which needs the website designing, and it was a very mixed of a message. And we literally had to sit down with her, figure out, like, what is her expertise, what she really wants to do, where she's wonderful, and where she should have a one-on-one offer presented. I mean, of course, under the roof you could do many things, but while posting content and while making certain marketing decisions for visibility, one has to have that, the clear concept of offer, and that was missing. So nobody knew what to buy from her. And, the hard truth behind that was, the result was, there was no revenue walking in there. She was going through a lot of fast and farming cycles, and her skills, really needed to fix with the clear offer. So that's where, we defined her brand identity. And we gave her the starter kit that, needs to offer to other people. And that clarity actually hit and gave her the first client that arrived within 2.5 weeks, I believe. And the first sale that she made through that was enough for her to sustain and get going. And with one client deliverables, she of course onboarded many other clients. So this is the thing that you want to see and introspect in this particular holiday season, that whether is that a reality for your side hustles, is that a reality for your passion business, is that a reality for the startup that you're building, and is there a positioning problem that needs to be solved, is there any other system that you need to implement for your startup? Just book a call with us one on one at passionatepulse.com/contact, or write back to info@passionatepulse.com and state that you have an issue with the marketing or the PR needs, or You're someone who is actually struggling at a very initial basis to unfold yourself and figure out what exactly is going on and where you need to fix. We could run the analysis, we could do the audit on your current affairs of side hustles or the startup that you're building or the small businesses that you're building. And we can tell you the exact gaps and how to fix that, and also augment a wheel that we can compensate with marketing, PR, and our one-on-one coaching. Let's move ahead and understand what this hard truth breaks with. It breaks with the first and the most important thing is your love affair with the ideas. I see a lot of side hustlers or the passionpreneurs. They are absolutely in love with what they do. But at the same time they're slightly blindfolded, I would say, with what the market needs and how the market is looking out at that need. You could be building a wonderful artisan products, or you have the coaching sessions that you guide people on the financial benefits, or you are wonderful in making policies for the businesses. But what policies you are making and how you are being perceived, or whatever business or side hustles that you have with your own skills and strength, you have to formalize that. And that's where that that excitement of building with the ideas that you get once in a while or weekly or every day, you're with some different tone. That's where lot of side hustlers get buried with doing lot of work. Okay, sometimes they're serving one request, sometimes they're serving another request, and both the requests are not congruent, so you don't have a right template to work with, you don't have right systems to work with, and you are approaching every project in a very ad hoc manner. So that's where, my dear friends, the companies are not built. The side hustle, the passionpreneur business can be an excitement, can be a love affair with your ideas that you have, but companies absolutely need a validation. A product that you want to sell at whatever packages that you want to sell, that needs a validation, that needs a system, that needs a discipline, that needs a rule book. And that's where it fails. So if you're someone, who are thinking that, oh, that is the case of me, maybe you want to jot down, 5 points where your that love affair with the ideas needs to stop and structure out, like, maybe you could write down 10 ideas that you love doing in the past, that you have served amazingly, you have volunteered and tried out that experiment at whatever that collab you were doing with the pro bono basis, and write down exactly what you really loved about it, what you didn't like about it, what is it that it is must in order to package around it, and you would figure out where your love affair is falling off, the breakup part, I would say, or the relationship that needs to be fixed. So this is something that you could absolutely do it by yourself. But having said that, if you need a help, we are here. Write back to info@passionatepulse.com, or simply ring us at 341-209-0102, or just WhatsApp or text us at this particular number saying that need a help as a side hustler, need a help as a passionpreneur, and we can define, whether you need the strategy sessions that can unfold your businesses, where the business consultant can help you guide through, or you need something else that can fix your problem on a very small basis, or you need the exact strategy for building the content or the augmentation wheels or the PR or whatever. We are here to help you on all those lines. I remember, like, there is one startup founder that we worked with. He was absolutely passionate about the tech world, and is so pro in developing a lot of platforms. And he decided on the weekends, he would build some beautiful habit tracking app now that the new year is coming up. And he was constantly engaged since October month on top of it, and he spent, like, almost couple of months for now, and built amazing tracking app. So it was like a zero conversion, because of course there was no even alpha users that he had onboarded. But the fact is, he spent such a good amount of time, and within the short span, he built amazing platform which was independent of all other platforms that existed. But at the same time, now he didn't know that, to whom to sell. What type of habit tracking is really important when a new year begins. Is he building out for people who needs to, get onto the exercise, who have never exercised? Or is he building for the people who are just like that, want to have an habit? So there were so many gaps in the product that we figured out when he approached us to understand how you can now, go ahead and start building his alpha customers or beta users. And we found ourselves like there were so many gaps that he didn't know which persona he's talking to. He didn't know which customer he should go behind, or, build that super niche app that can sell, or that can even onboard a free customers in order to give him the review, in order to give him the validation. So there were so many misses, and I wish he could have approached us prior building that app, and we could have guided him with, hey, there are A to Z steps. Let's just follow that. Let's just uncover that. And from that, you gather the market data, but at the same time, gather your interest where it aligns, and then take a step of building something fancy. You know, Here is that particular founder's case that I'm talking, where we actually help him out about, don't go into this rabbit hole. However, go with certain ideas, and then nevertheless, to tell you the truth, that app, we just told him, like, just keep it aside. But right now, just do these many things that are needed the first, and then come back to your this passion business of building the habit tracking app. So that's where, my dear friends, companies talk to customers very early, and the hustlers first talk to themselves. And that's a very, very highlighted difference that I have figured it out. Anything that you're building, don't build for the sake of, of your own satisfaction, of, because you want to do this, because you think that's a problem. There is no problem when you think, there is a problem when you validate. So there are a lot of cases, I always say this, and I have always said that in my prior podcast episodes as well, that, don't build another vitamin, build a painkiller. That's where it is effective. Maybe vitamin needs to be consumed daily. However, most people don't take that, or they are not, falling for it. But the painkiller is something that even though people need it occasionally, they would buy it at whatever price it is. So identify what is that pain that you're solving and go around it. And that's where, your silence building can convert into the revenue. Your side hustle or the passionpreneur business can actually turn to the revenue wheel. So talk to your customers, talk to your potential alpha, beta, gamma, whoever uses that you think, or just try out certain circles, where you can absolutely go ahead and, do this soundproofing for yourself. Having said that, I must tell you that we have a WhatsApp group, which is invite only bootstrappers WhatsApp group. If you would like to join that, just go to the passionatepulse.com, contact, and just message us, or simply write us back on info@passionatepulse.com. We'll send out the form that talks about how to join that bootstrappers group, because we want to validate every identity. Every human being is joining that, and not the bots. So that's where that little bit of an entry point we have. And once you validate, or once you go get through that form, and we think that's a valid identity and have something real to talk about, we'll be onboarding you to that invite only WhatsApp group. So just write to us at info@passionatepulse.com about the WhatsApp, about the WhatsApp group. This is especially for the people who are listening this show on 92.3 FM HD3 Sapphire Radio. However, those who are actually tuning to podcast, just go ahead and check out the description of this particular podcast that shows about how do you join this particular bootstrappers WhatsApp group. Moving forward, the second and very important problem that I have seen, let's say you have an offer, you have a reason to, sell something that you're building, underpricing. That's a very big invisible anchor I have found till today. This is universal. Trust me, this is universal. Whether it's a tech founder, whether it's a non tech founder, whether it is someone who is selling certain commercial products, There is a huge underpricing, because of which lot of side hustlers, solopreneurs, small businesses are absolutely struggling. You start cheap because you want to, gain more customers. You feel little bit afraid of yourself. What if they say no? What if this particular customer turns out? What if I'm not really worth at showing up that quality that my customer will look out for particular price point? Just ignore. Remember this: businesses aren't built on your fear based pricing. It is built with intentional pricing, with a calculative pricing, where you exactly know why you're price pointing this particular price for the particular product that you're selling. And underpricing doesn't mean that you're literally selling it too cheap. It does mean that you're not taking into account a lot of factors where you're building the product, and those expenses needs to covered. There is some profit margin that needs to be built. Otherwise, yes, most of the times I've seen the founders or the side hustlers or the passionpreneurs are selling the product at a price which is not meeting what that particular price compounding it to. So a this is an area, where we have to literally work down with our clients, talking about that. If this price point is not serving your operational expenses, why will you say that? Why will you serve that? I mean, of course, there is another math that comes into the play, where there is a competitive market exist, where the competitive prices are something that you're looking out. Then a particular shift needs to happen that talks about how do you price it then. How you can break down your operational expenses to meet that pricing. What you could do, how you could package. So there is a lot of art and a science behind that pricing part. But that's where, the things mold. Your client should come first, yes. And your burnout should go faster, yes. You should think about at least a marginal revenue, if not at least an operational expense when you're onboarding your alpha beta customers, right? So in order to keep your hustle live, you're not supposed to do something that is just satisfying your mental perception of building a business. It should be a shift, right? It should be an intentional shift where you have a packages you define, you have, business looks like a business. There is so much that needs to be built around it. So think about it. Are you failing at that? Are you pricing at a point where your operational expenses are made? And at the same time, your competitive market, if there is any competitor sellers, or, if someone out there do have certain services, are you, at least matching that, or maybe little higher, little lower, but around that average. So there is so much that competitive analysis in the pricing needs to go. So, figure out whether that is the case of you. That is where you need fixes. If you need a business consultant, if you need some strategies to work with us, I'm here to help you out. We do guide passionpreneurs, side hustlers on all these lines. Just ring us at 341-209-0102, and we can figure out what needs to be done. Or simply book a call at passionatepulse.com/contact, and we could figure out further. So, these are like some of the very important things that I have noticed while working out with my clients who are side hustlers, who are building their startups, and who are absolutely struggling to acquire their first few customers at a right price range, or even though if it is a pro bono alpha customer that you're onboarding, are you even identifying the right users to onboard to that particular platform, to onboard to your services that you're building? So that is where you can unlock yourself if you're stuck. So define that problem to be solved. And another thing that I must say I have observed is businesses grow when they solve one clear problem for one clear audience. And that's where that alpha customer that you're walking in can turn into the review customer that validates for your paying customers. So there is a huge cycle that you need to think right from the stage zero versus thinking about at stage 10, and that you have launched multiple products, and now you're like, finding out how do I unify them, and how do I tweak them, or how do I now, give a start head. That's not going to happen unless you have that pitch sound stuff, which most startup founders do have. When they go through certain accelerators, when they go through a lot of master classes, they understand that they need to have amazing pitch sound, a couple of lines that can define that. So think about you. Can you do a template that I can define for your business? I help XYZ to solve ABC problem through D and F solution. It's a simple template that you need for your business. And with that, you can fix a lot of stuff. While doing this exercise itself, you could uncover yourself in many ways where exactly you're failing. Like, if I have to talk about this, like what I help with, which individuals I'm actually, serving as my coaching clients is I help side hustlers, passionpreneurs who want to build something from their passion, from their strengths, and I want to solve their problem of just remaining side hustlers to building a company from their passion, from their own hobby, from their own strength. And that is where exactly I come in and I help them as a strategist, as a business consultant. And I am also an individual, or we are a company where Passionate Pearl stand for serving your marketing and the PR needs. Wherever you need the visibility, wherever you need to plan out the visibility, we come as a marketing strategist. At the same time, we also come as an execution wheel to you. We help founders, build their PR campaigns. We make sure that, there's subtle and very important places the visibility gets built, and that is the problem we solve through our services with our team members. So it's a very clear perception, it's a very clear proposition that we are throwing out and we are saying it out loud, right? So that is the difference when you are actually side hustling on many things and you don't know where your burnout is actually going and what exactly you're standing for. Well, having said that, I must tell you an important problem that most founders, most side hustlers, most passionpreneurs go through is the randomness versus the real distribution. So, most founders, startup founders, especially the technical startup founders that we know and we are working with, we built a lot of LinkedIn campaigns. We have our social medias everywhere, but they're doing a very random posting and they don't know what they're posting about. Are they posting about a problem that their product is solving, or they're educating a buyer, or they're entertaining a buyer? So there is a huge gap and there is a huge problem that they create for themselves, because while building a content in house, they are just not sure what they're building it for. Sometimes it's an educational content, sometimes it's an entertaining content, sometimes it is a problem that exists worldwide or generic, but it is not a problem, or they are not stating something that their product is solving. And a lot of call to actions will fail because that has not created something that is needed, right? So it's a very common problem to have, not just for the side hustlers, even for the startup founders. We have figured out that this is the same problem exists, even though the company is at a revenue level and the small business category where they're generating a revenue, where they're holding teams, where they have operational teams, it is still the problem that is universal. I figured it out. And the moment you shift that, the moment, the hustlers post what they feel like, or the founders post what they feel like today about, that's not how the companies will distribute. Companies will be very, very intentional. Look at any ad campaign that you kind of have liked for the consumer industry company which is very big in the game, or the names are very big. They're very intentional about how they are pouring their marketing budget. In fact, you could see that they're spending tons to get the visibility, but at the same time, the way they will be visible is, everywhere that stamp will carry. So, the reason, to my knowledge, or, with the companies that we have worked with, most small business companies or the startups reserve 30 to 35% of their budget for the marketing and visibility solely. Okay. Versus the big companies, of course, it could also go some years 50-50%, or it could be even more. But They're very intentional in distributing what their company offerings are through the advertisement, through different mediums that exist. And nowadays, because there are so many disruptive medias where a lot of users are already existing, we think it is easy to do that. However, if it is not intentionally campaign, that whole campaign can fail. Right now, we are working with one company who have got $1 million of revenue, and they are still failing in acquiring the customers or having the repeatable customer. And the reason being is they are not packaging their offers right. And the second most reason is while they are not acquiring the newer customers, although they are very unique in terms of what business they have, is their outlets are not speaking what they should have. Also, they're not thinking about the right outlets and the right content strategy to make this move work. So there are so many problems. If the bigger companies of $1 million revenue can hold it, think about the hustlers. If it is not planned well, as a solopreneur, how much things that you could do which will still not work to the point that it should have. And that is where, we definitely need to be intentional. And that hope is never a strategy. Remember that being a side hustler, being a passion planner, hope can never be your strategy. That's the honest truth. That's the practical side of hustling. So the moment you shift that and bring a system that, okay, maybe I should have a distribution wing as my newsletter. Maybe I need a different framework where people can reach out to me. Maybe I need a certain cadence that can build and talk about what I do. It could be a short video, it could be a simple post, it could be a blog, it could be something that talks about what exactly I can do at this point of time for this particular persona. And I've been talking to that persona consistently. So client starts coming then, because then now your distribution is your bloodstream for your business, which is, actually acting as a bloodstream. So that is where, you need to focus, you need to get down your real life intention of, distribution of your content, and thinking about different cross channels that exist, how you can do different collaborations, how you can go and talk about your offers. If you want to do a collaboration on a pro bono basis, what strategy you should approach. There is so much of a science and art there in order to ask with a grace and everything. So that goes behind. If you're someone who's struggling in that area, this is the point that you should be thinking about. If you need a help in this area, don't hesitate. Just write back to info@passionatepulse.com or simply ring us at 341-209-0102, and we'll be here to guide you and work with you as your business consultant. Another important fact that most side hustlers don't think about, rather that is just not in their sight. Okay, even the startup founders I have seen, they absolutely fail at this. They're wonderful in building the products. The passionpreneurs are wonderful in doing something from their passion. It could be the artisans, it could be the tech founders, it could be different consumer oriented goods business owner. They're wonderful at what they do, what they build. Absolutely, they have a strength and skills and the quality towards it. However, they fail in sales. This is something is very, very universal, that people who build products may not sell, or maybe they're good at sales, but they just have not acquired the right sales strategy or the system that they should have in today's modern world. Defining disruptive products that exist today, they are failing to acquire and using them, or defining the strategy that exists, it's widely available, but execution is an issue. It's like, how much can you stretch? Like, if you're a founder, if you're a solopreneur, if you're a passionpreneur, you can't stretch yourself too thin, to get everything going so well. So you need to be focused at certain stages. You need to define your sales system so you can operate on a very autopilot mode on that. And that's where the pipeline and the predictability comes into the picture. People fail to build their pipelines. That's where the predictability is not there. And the most side hustlers breaking point is this. And they don't understand that their breaking point was a pipeline, their breaking point was something else. Referrals are wonderful. That means you have been validated. That means you're doing your job amazing. But that's not a system. You need to build a system where you need to keep and constantly build your pipeline. There could be different wings that you can use for that. There could be only certain wings that you can focus at a time because of your time limitation, but work with that. Okay. So, think about it like, there are two developers or the startup founders who are building different platforms, and they start at the same time, but one succeeds and one not. Why? Because one, it's spending more time in refining product. However, the other one is actually building a renewable and a repeatable system that can outreach, that can nurture the funnel, that can, build something substantial to take their message out, versus keep refining the product and investing energy at that point of time where you don't have your pipeline built, where you don't know your customers will even look forward to your, so-called fancy features that exist in your platform. And same goes with different non-tech founders, different non-tech side hustlers and the passionpreneurs as well. Same skill, same talent that is needed. However, a complete different outcome you could achieve just by lasting that survival mode where the company starts scaling, where you could start building your system. And that's where I would like you to invite on the 11th December masterclass that we're doing, Boundaries by Design, especially for the solopreneurs, passionpreneurs, or side hustlers, or the ones who are yet to start or developing their products. That, what exactly you need to build to, make sure that it is scalable. And that is the class I would like you to invite. How to register? Go to passionatepulse.com/workshop and just log on and join, register for that workshop. If you are a Substack member of Passionate Pulse, then that masterclass is free for you. If you don't know how to log on to Substack, just log on to substack.com/@ passionate pulse 4 number 4 and letter U, passionate pulse for you. And one more important the topic that I like to touch base before we look forward to wind up this particular episode: chaos kills growing. Okay. So chaos is the important factor that kills growing any business. So don't get into that chaos of doing 100 things for building product in one or two direction. Oh, I want to accommodate this, I want to accommodate that, I want to do this, I want to build this kind of a content, I want to send every day one video so that my social media engagements groom, so that my my platform channels, whatever the wings, so called my marketing distribution wings grows. It doesn't matter if you have 100 videos on your social media that talks about the same thing, but it does matter that you have a system and very few posts and an intentional content that works around it, and you have a different wings that can do that touch point. You every every marketing need, in order to convert to the sale, we say that it's kind of an ashtabhuja goddess. If you relate to this concept in Indian rituals or in the Hindu rituals, there are goddesses which are framed with eight arms or eight limbs, right? Ashtabhuja goddess is what we call. And that is how the marketing should be perceived. There are different channels that exist. You have to make use of all of them because you don't know which one will work and build your pipeline. But at the same time, all those wings should get connected to the one body system where your CRM, where your pipeline gets built. I definitely understand, as a solopreneur, as a passionpreneur, as a side hustler, you might not be at a stature to have your own CRM. However, you can absolutely build your CRM, and how to do that we will be teaching you in the masterclass that's coming up on 11th of December, Thursday, 11 a.m. PST. So log on to passionatepulse.com/workshops and do register for that workshop and just see how you can equip yourself this holiday season to be an entrepreneur of 2026 and generate a revenue. So, this is something that I will guide. So, run a business and not run yourself into the business. Okay. So, don't make any business to run you. However, you run a business, you become a CEO, you become a COO of it. So that's where, start small, start scalable, bring the system that is not optional. Okay. That is the difference between staying afloat and sailing afar, right? So build a system that is needed, and how to do that, how to kill that chaos is something that we can absolutely help you when join that masterclass, and we can, get you going. And the other thing, and a very important, I've already told and touched about it, is the fear of sailing that every side hustler, every passionpreneur, every freelancer holds on to their mind. That they are absolutely being fearful about, what if I fail to sail? What if, I'm not running an actual business, however, I'm trying to sell this in a way as if I'm a business owner, and I'm just, starting out. How do I do that? Don't get into all this, the mental demons, or this, don't let these thoughts sabotage you by just sitting on your shoulder and talking about, oh, you are still not here, you're not still there, you're not there. That is the perception you, as a business owner, have to build. And there are ways to build systematically, there are, steps to take systematically, and that is absolutely possible. So don't run a diary of being a solopreneur, a side hustlers, or passionpreneurs. Run through an intentional system that scales as a business. That's where the actual money comes. That's where the revenue comes. That's where the customers who can pay you can come. So the founder offering, whatever services, whatever platforms, if you don't have that kind of a clarity of, posting a content that will turn as a pipeline, if you don't have a strategy to outreach, or doing the discovery calls, and even presenting any of the case studies, then that is not going to build. So those are the things that you need to build very intentionally, very systematically. So remember, sailing is not sleazy, okay? It's not something that, oh, it sounds very cheesy, it sounds very salesy, it sounds very this and that. No, just get out of that zone and shift your perspective that sailing is a storytelling with a purpose, with an intention of what you bring, and help some other potential customers to solve their problems. And it is a fair exchange that you do as a solopreneur, as a passionpreneur, as a side hustler, because somebody else does not have that. And that's where they are looking forward to augment themselves with you. So don't overlook on that confidence. However, how to do that is a very skill and a very systematic and a disciplined approach that we help guide founders as well as solopreneurs, passionpreneurs, and the side hustlers. If you're around, join the 11th December 11 a.m. PST webinar that we are hosting for this boundaries by design, that is going to help you unlock and build you a system that you need the most. And of course, there are different sales classes that we are onboarding in the upcoming new year that you can take, you can build, and you can see through it, and you can adapt as a solopreneur, as a startup founder, while scaling with the lean operational methods. What smart efforts you could do to, scale up, and that is what we are guiding. The business evolves only when you have that, dedicated system, dedicated discipline to work around, and a reasonable repeatable pattern for certain things to build upon. But having said that, I must say that identity shift is the uttermost thing that the side hustlers, or the passionpreneurs, or the solopreneurs need the most. There could be hundreds of product out there that can do XYZ, that can help you do this and that. But this mental shift of, identity of becoming a hustler, or becoming a passionpreneur to a founder, is a different thing. Okay. And that's the barrier you want to work with, which is inevitably invisible in every side hustler's mind. Trust me, that happens. However, that is absolutely easy to overcome. Okay? You can stay small and yet scale, but your identity isn't a fluff. It's an architecture that you have to build through it. So my dear friend, if you are someone who think that in 2025 has not gained you the output that you were looking forward to, and 2026 you want to march with more confidence, with more intentional way, then that is a right class for you as a side hustler or a solopreneur or a passionpreneur that I am guiding through. That is a masterclass for build your boundaries or design your boundaries for your side hustle, for your solopreneurship, for your passionpreneurship. And that is the system that will take you far beyond mode from this identity shift that we just discussed. Just by becoming a hustler, it's not gonna walk you with the revenue. However, shifting that intentionally and stepping onto the business founder mode will shift you. And how to do that? How do you design your boundaries to perceive you as a founder, to perceive you the authority in your field? Is the class that I'm hosting. If you are a Substack member, our masterclasses are absolutely free for you. If you are someone, who just wants to try out this particular masterclass, feel free to register at passionatepulse.com/workshops. That's where we will meet and will guide you. And again, I must thank our audience, Madhuri, who came forward and said that, I really want to understand how really the side hustlers should start scaling up to build a revenue. And that was her query that we had received in the past couple of weeks. And that's where I stepped on to this Thanksgiving mode, that it is an absolute gift from us to our loyal audience who asked for what they are looking forward from future episodes. If you're someone who want to get different guidance through the podcast and that is something that you want to, help us out, I'm here. Just write us down at info@passionatepulse.com or simply text us or WhatsApp at 34120900102 and we can unfold that particular podcast masterclass episode for you, Bootstrap Banters. We want all of you to succeed with or without us, with our masterclasses or without our masterclass. But this podcast is a wing for you to get those important tips that you need to get going. And if you're stuck at further stations and you now need a proper guidance, proper strategies, proper marketing, and the PR wheels, we are here to help you. Just log on to passionatepulse.com/contact and book a call with us, and we'll be there to guide you. If you're listening this particular episode on radio, for them, I'm telling you this. However, the people who are tuning this from any of the podcast mediums, wherever you get the podcast, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, Substack, anywhere, then please go and check out the description links, how to book a call with us, what to expect from us, how to join the masterclass, and the registration links all are there in the description box. So remember, your side hustle is the seed that you have. Your company is the forest that you want to build. And both of them, my dear friends, live inside you. But only one grows when you choose the structure over chaos, courage over fear, and the systems over hope. So, if this particular episode has hit your home, share it with someone building their dream in silence. If you have survived with your side hustle till now, that means you have a grit, that means you have a fire in your belly, and that also means you have something within you that most startups or most side hustlers don't. And that's where you are still marching on. We are almost about to come to the close holiday season. However, I'm sure this episode will give you the fuel to come forward in 2026 with the fresh energy, fresh confidence, and more importantly, an important strategy and a system that you need to operate and bring your side hustle from point A to point Z. If this was helpful, do mention us, do like and share this episode. And if you are someone who are looking for more guidance, as I said, contact us through passionatepulse.com. Enjoy your time with your friends and family this Thanksgiving. And more importantly, take a simple break that you need the most. And at the same time, do one thing. Share a small thank you for whoever has validated your side hustle. For the customers that have walked into or have done, something with you, a transactional business, a pro bono collab, or whatever it may have been. Go ahead and do share a thanks on a personal note from your side. Reach out to them, DM, email, but do mention your gratitude this Thanksgiving. That entire gratitude will you give you a fuel to run your entire holiday season and attempting the next year with the fresh energy. Well, this is Pranali signing off from the Bootstrap Banter. Stay tuned and stay passionate.